On July 21, 2008, in a desert at the foot of the Tianshan Mountains near Bele City, Xinjiang, police lights flashed and sirens wailed. A squad of armed police officers and military police were escorting a young man to the execution grounds. The man's name was Zhang Deyue, only 28 years old, sentenced to death for murder. The judge finished reading the death sentence approval from the Supreme Court and confirmed Zhang Deyue's identity. Then the police officers pulled back the gun's bolt, chambering around. At that moment, the execution grounds felt completely silent, as if time itself had stopped. But in this critical moment, Zhang Deyue, who had remained calm and arrogant throughout, suddenly shouted with a trembling voice,
"I want to report something. I know who the real killer is in another murder case. Please give me a chance to redeem myself by confessing to this crime."
Let's go back to the early morning of March 6, 2007, in Dalehe Town, Bele City. Shi Weichun, a villager deep in his dreams, received a call from an unknown number.
喂，史维春，史新进 is your nephew? He's in my hands right now. You must pay a ransom of 150,000 yuan within 4 hours, or I'll kill him. If you want him alive, don't call the police.
Hey, have you been watching too many Hong Kong movies? You're crazy.
I told you your nephew is in my hands. If you don't pay the ransom, he's as good as dead.
You blind bastard, trying to extort money from me? I'm a poor farmer, don't have any money to give you. Do whatever you want.
However, after hanging up, Shi Weichun was wide awake. He still didn't believe his nephew had been kidnapped, but concerned for his safety, he called his brother anyway. To his surprise, his brother told him that his nephew hadn't come home that night and wasn't answering his phone. At that moment, Shi Weichun's mind exploded with worry. Could the kidnapping be real? He immediately called the police. The local police quickly took on the case and formed a special task force. They investigated the nephew Shi Xinjin's activities that day, and after a day of work, they obtained an important lead. On the day of the incident, Shi Xinjin had been with a young man named Zhang Deyue. The police then located Zhang Deyue's residence. The moment Zhang saw the police, he panicked and his legs went weak. Could this be a sign of guilt? Without much discussion, the police decided to take Zhang to the station to questioning. The officer in charge of the interrogation was Ba Tu, an experienced investigator. When he saw Zhang Deyue, he was stunned. Ba Tu had a strong impression of this young man. Years earlier, Zhang Deyue had committed fraud selling cotton, scamming 60,000 yuan, and received a suspended sentence. During that interrogation, this baby-faced young man had displayed remarkable psychological fortitude and strict logical thinking. For example, due to limited resources at the time, investigators could only keep handwritten records, which inevitably contained errors and typos. Although Zhang Deyue had signed the final interrogation record, when the case went to court, he completely recanted his confession, questioned the errors in the transcript, refused to acknowledge his previous statements, and ultimately used this strategy to evade legal punishment. Recalling those past scenes, Officer Ba Tu knew this would be another brutal battle. So this time, to prevent Zhang from recanting, he instructed the recorder to ensure there wasn't a single error in the interrogation transcript, not even one typo. However, Zhang had also changed his tactics. He sat in the chair with his head down, completely silent, clearly trying to adopt a stubborn strategy. Well, he succeeded. He left the place with not a single word on the record. Then, the interrogation had hit a dead end. The police had once again come up empty-handed. But what they didn't realize was that even greater difficulties awaited them. Zhang continued to resist the police questioning in complete silence, making the officers increasingly anxious. According to regulations, if a suspect doesn't confess to any crime within 12 hours and the police lack sufficient evidence, they must release the suspect. At this point, Captain Wang decided to use the remaining time to search Zhang's residence for clues. Zhang's home was in a rundown house in the distant suburbs. Inside, everything appeared normal. No signs of struggle or fighting that would suggest a violent crime had occurred. After meticulously searching every corner in the house, the investigators discovered one tiny suspicious detail. On the edge of a flower pot in the house, they found blood spatter at a low angle. Drawing on years of investigative experience, Captain Wang quickly visualized the scene in his mind. Someone had used a sharp weapon to attack a person on the floor near the flower pot, causing blood to splatter onto it. The nephew, Shi Xinjin, had likely been killed. The police conducted a preliminary test on the blood, which only confirmed it was human blood. They couldn't yet determine if it belonged to Shi Xinjin. But complete lab results would take 3 days, and Zhang Deyue would need to be released in just a few hours. So the police needed to find ironclad evidence to make Zhang confess. With no other choice, the police had to continue investigating the crime scene until late into the night. Luckily, when the police had practically turned the house upside down, they finally discovered something shocking. Several charred human bone fragments and teeth remained hidden in a pile of ashes in a corner outside the courtyard. This discovery gave the police tremendous confidence. Later, it was confirmed these were human bones. So combined with the blood sample, the police now had sufficient evidence to charge the Zhang Deyue. Back at the police station, Officer Batu began pressing Zhang, accelerating the interrogation. Over 3 to 4 hours, Zhang Deyue's confession ran more than 10,000 characters, densely filling 17 pages without a single correction. According to Zhang Deyue, he was a migrant worker from Gansu province. Naturally lazy and work-averse, he found his earnings too slow and, after careful planning, decided to take desperate measures. On New Year's Day 2006, Zhang Deyue met Shi Xinjin, who lived in Dalete town. Shi Xinjin was only 22 years old, young and impulsive, loved to brag, and often portrayed himself as coming from a wealthy family, claiming his father and uncle made over $1 million a year in business. Such boasting naturally won admiration and envy from many people, but it also attracted those with ill intentions, Zhang Deyue being one of them. So, not long after, he targeted Shi Xinjin as his primary mark for getting rich. In the following time, Zhang deliberately cultivated their relationship and invited Shi Xinjin to join him in selling fertilizer. On March 5, 2007, Zhang Deyue felt the time was right. He lured Shi Xinjin to his temporary residence, treated him to good liquor, and got him drunk. When Shi passed out, Zhang kidnapped him. But what Zhang hadn't expected was that Shi Xinjin's family wasn't wealthy at all. When he demanded ransom from Shi's uncle, he was even mocked for watching too many movies. Humiliated and enraged, Zhang Deyue killed Shi Xinjin and burned his body. Later, to cover his tracks, he meticulously cleaned the crime scene until not a trace remained. Believing his actions were flawless, he wasn't afraid when detained by the police. Based on his previous experience with law enforcement, he knew police interrogation time was limited. Once the time was up, they'd have to release him. So he remained silent, stalling for time. What he hadn't anticipated was that the police could still find evidence in his room, completely destroying his defense. Now, let's return to the beginning of our story, Zhang Deyue's execution site. In the final moments before his execution, he suddenly shouted,
Your Honor, I want to report something. I know who the real killer is in the murder case. Please give me a chance to redeem myself. In the fall of 2006, a woman named Yang Yan was working at a cotton plantation. She was reportedly murdered, and her body is buried in an interrogation ditch in the cotton field of the 10th Company, 89th Regiment, 7th Division, about 1.2 meters underground. Please have the police investigate. Give me a chance to make amends for my crimes.
Zhang Deyue's words filled all the officials with an uneasy feeling. His fear, anxiety, and his desperate desire to live doesn't seem like something he could fake. This was most likely true. After consulting with officials and requesting instructions from the Supreme People's Court, the judge and prosecutor decided to temporarily suspend Zhang's execution. Upon receiving the case, Captain Li immediately took this young man to the specific location, and with no hesitation, the police brought shovels and pickaxes and began excavating the site.
This is so hard to dig. The ground is full of pebbles. My pickaxe is completely worn down. Mind you, look. Do you think the killer would really bury a body in a place like this? It's too much work. Could Zhang Deyue be making this up as an excuse to delay his execution and find a chance to escape? I heard that guy tried to break out of detention before. How deep have you dug? Reporting, sir. 1.4 meters now. Zhang Deyue said 1.2 meters, and we've already exceeded that. Bring him here. You said the body was buried in a 1.2 meter hole. Is it accurate? Yes, I guarantee it's 1.2 meters. Then where's the body? I don't know. Let's keep going a little longer. In my experience, to successfully bury a body in this desert terrain, you need to dig about 1.5 meters. Any shallower and animals might dig it up. Any deeper is unnecessary. One person couldn't handle that much work. We're at 1.4 meters now. Let's dig one more shovel's depth. If there's nothing, we'll stop. Fine, we've dug this much already. Everyone, hang in there a bit longer. I think I found something. Why is this soil so dark? Oh God, it stinks. Xiaoyang, come up. Stop digging. Xiaoyang, give me a handkerchief. Holy shit.
Thus, in the 1.6 meters underground in an interrogation kennel, the police unearthed a highly decomposed female body. According to the forensic examiner, the deceased had a fracture at the base of the hyoid bone, preliminarily suggesting death by strangulation. Next to the body, they found an ID card, and the name was indeed Yang Yan. At this point, a question arose. Did this ID card actually match the body? If the deceased was truly Yang Yan, why had no one reported her missing during the 2 years since her burial? Next, the police drove to Yili, Xinjiang, to the home of Yang Yan's parents. The police arrival caught Yang Yan's mother, Li Hongxia, completely off guard. She told the officers that, in September 2006, her daughter had gone to Bole City to work picking cotton and then mysteriously disappeared. For 2 years, the family had searched everywhere but received no news. September 2006. This matched the time frame in Zhang Deyue's confession. The police officers then collected a blood sample from Li Hongxia and sent it to the Forensic Identification Center for DNA comparison with the body. While confirming the identity of the body, another team of investigators started conducting detailed questioning of Zhang Deyue. According to legal regulations, since he wanted to redeem himself through meritorious service, he had to truthfully disclose everything he knew about the case. Of course, since the brush with death, Zhang Deyue had been extremely cooperative. He told the police he had a brother, Zhang Denian, who owned a large cotton field and hired many workers each year to help with the cotton harvest. The victim, Yang Yan, was one of these workers.
Oh, careful. Let me help you. Thank you. No problem. My name is Ajie. Hello, Ajie. I'm Yang Yan. Today, I'd like to play a song for a beautiful girl here. I wish her to find her true love soon. Who is it? It's me, Ajie. Ajie, what's wrong? This late at night? I killed Yang Yan. What? I buried her body in an abandoned gravel pit at the stone factory, but I dug the hole too shallow to cover her properly. Come with me to find another place to bury her. No, I won't do it. Find someone else. You don't have a choice. Now you know my secret. If you refuse, you'll join Yang Yan. I've already killed someone. I don't mind killing one more. What do you think? No. Oh, okay. I'll help you.
From then on, Jie disappeared. A few days later, the test results came back. The deceased was indeed Yang Yan, and the time of death was around September 2006. That initially verified Zhang Deyue's report. Everyone believed that with Zhang Deyue's testimony, the case would soon be solved. However, things weren't that simple. First, the police began working to arrest Jie, but soon they discovered shocking news. Jie had died in a year earlier. According to an accident report issued by the Public Security Bureau on April 28, 2007, Jie had been driving an unlicensed motorcycle on the highway while drunk. He lost control of the vehicle, which fell off the road and crashed into trees, killing him instantly. So, in this murder case, 2 of the 3 individuals involved were already dead, which means no one could verify Zhang Deyue's story. The case had hit a dead end again. Therefore, a troubling question emerged for the police. Did Zhang Deyue's testimony count as meritorious service? Should his death sentence still be carried out? At the same time, Captain Zhao had doubts about Zhang's testimony. According to this guy, Jie had decided to move the body because the hole wasn't suitable. But both locations had the same desert terrain, meaning they would be equally difficult to dig. Jie could have simply asked Zhang to help him dig the hole deeper with no need to move the body and dig a new one. Moreover, Jie had fled after the incident. Wasn't he afraid Zhang Deyue would report him? These contradictions raised significant questions about Zhang Deyue's testimony. Subsequently, police visited the village where the incident occurred, but they were totally confused then. Villagers said Yang Yan and Jie were merely casual friends. Instead, she had a closer relationship with the property owner, Zhang Denian. The 2 often spent time together, and Zhang Denian took special care of Yang Yan's daily needs, far beyond an ordinary friendship. So, if Yang Yan and Zhang Denian were truly in a romantic relationship, Zhang Deyue, as the brother, would certainly have known. Why did he lie about it? Did he mean to cover something up to protect his brother? Let's take a bold guess. Could Zhang Denian be the one who killed Yang Yan? Additionally, there was another reason for police to suspect Zhang Denian. Yang Yan's body had been buried in Zhang Denian's cotton field. Then, the police quickly interrogated Zhang Denian, but made little progress. Zhang Denian insisted that his relationship with Yang Yan was purely employment-based with no emotional entanglement. After the cotton picking season ended, she had gone home. As for why she was found in his cotton field, he also had no idea. Just as the police shifted their attention to Zhang Denian, Zhang Deyue suddenly changed his behavior at the police station. He stopped talking completely. His expression was repressed, his gaze vacant, with none of his previous excitement. This behavior change didn't escape the police notice. Clearly, this case wasn't as simple as Zhang Deyue had initially claimed. By late August 2008, 40 days had passed since Yang Yan's murder was reported. The police decided to start fresh by looking into Yang Yan's parents' home. They returned to Yili County and, after explaining the situation to Yang Yan's mother, began searching Yang Yan's personal belongings. Fortunately, because the mother missed her daughter so much, she had kept Yang Yan's room exactly as it was. Then, the police discovered a major lead in a paper box stored in the corner of the room. It contained numerous letters, all written from Zhang Denian. From the letters, it was clear they were lovers and had been in a relationship since 2000. Yang Yan's mother was shocked when she learned this. She admitted that Zhang Denian had indeed dated her daughter, but she thought they had already gone their separate ways.
Hi, thirsty? If you're tired, just take a break. Oh, thank you. Oh, Mr. Zhang, you're here. Are you comfortable staying here? If not, you can move next door to my place. There's an empty little courtyard there. It's fine. Thank you for your concern, Mr. Zhang. I don't agree. This boy is too poor. What do you see in him? Tonight, you're not going out again. You're staying home. Yeah, let's go. We finished the work here. Listen, when we get home, Dad and I will introduce you to a better young man who will keep you from worrying about food and clothing. Just don't struggle all your life like me. Do you remember the water tower of the Gobi Desert? I told you, the big one is me, the smaller one is you. If you don't leave first, I'll always be waiting for you. Yeah, I want to introduce you to a young man. Lee is waiting in the living room. Go talk to him. Mom, I told you, I don't want to go on blind dates. Why not? You can't still be thinking about Zhang Denian, can you? It's been 6 years. He's probably married by now. Don't be foolish. Go now. Don't disappoint us. Let's wish this couple eternal happiness. How many times have I told you I have things to do today? I can't visit your parents. Alright, do as you want. I don't care. Denian, I'm divorced now. I want to come find you and help you pick cotton. Yan, I'm sorry. But I'm already married and now have a 1-year-old son. In the end, it seems we weren't meant to be together. However, if you need a job, you can come. Sincerely, Zhang Denian. Mom, I'm going to the city to find work. I'll be back to see you soon. Have you seen my daughter? Her name is Yang Yan, 25 years old, about this tall, thin.
So, all evidence suggested that Zhang Denian lied to the police, and he must be connected to Yang Yan's death. Zhang Deyue also lied, aiming to cover for his brother and making Ajie the scapegoat. But here's the question. Zhang Deyue would only dare to do this if he knew Ajie was already dead. But Ajie died in April, while Zhang Deyue had been imprisoned since March. How did he find out about Ajie's death? In the detention center, Zhang Deyue remained as before, refusing to speak during questioning. But he also remained extremely calm, ignoring everyone around him, often pacing back and forth, deep in thought, as if calculating something. During the daily exercise period, prisoners walked out of their cells to enjoy the sunshine and breathe some fresh air. At this time, Captain Zhang, who was responsible for interrogating Zhang Deyue, stood silently on the high wall of the detention center, observing this man in the yard below. Then he noticed Zhang Deyue talking with a nearby detainee. This casual conversation suddenly sparked an idea. Was it possible that Zhang Deyue had learned about Ajie's death through conversations with other prisoners during exercise time? Following this hunch, Captain Zhang began reviewing the detention records and indeed found a name, Korjit. This man was a local Mongolian who knew both Zhang Deyue and Ajie. Korjit had been detained by police in April 2008 on suspicion of theft. According to his statement, during an exercise period, he ran into Zhang Deyue and inadvertently told him about Ajie's death. Korjit's testimony greatly encouraged police. This information essentially ruled out the possibility of Ajie being the murderer, and Zhang Deyue's repeatedly concealed information likely had a significant connection to his brother Zhang Denian, who was very likely the real culprit in this case. So, on the day in August 2008, Zhang Denian was brought to the police station. Faced with the evidence, he had to admit his romantic relationship with Yang Yan. He said he concealed this relationship because he had his own difficulties, but he absolutely was not the murderer of Yang Yan.
Denian, do you still have feelings for me? Yan, I'm married now, you know that. So you don't have any feelings left at all? I don't mind that you're married or that you have a son. Yan, it's getting late. You should rest now. We have work tomorrow. Yan, here's your wages. Take care on your journey.
Zhang Denian described his complicated past romance with Yang Yan, but consistently denied killing her. He emphatically told the police, I had a house, a wife, a child. I wouldn't possibly take the life of someone like Yang Yan for a relationship that couldn't lead anywhere. It wouldn't be worth it for me to do something like that. In the end, due to insufficient evidence, Zhang Denian did not have the necessary motives for murdering Yang Yan, so they let him go home. At this point, Captain Zhang fell into deep thought again. If the killer wasn't Zhang Denian, why would Zhang Deyue go to such lengths to cover for his brother? He decided to interrogate Zhang Deyue again. He carefully reviewed all of Zhang Deyue's files once more. With his knowledge of criminal psychology, a question began to form in his mind. How had this young man's criminal psychology evolved? As mentioned earlier, Zhang Deyue had committed a significant fraud case back in 2005, but by 2007, he had escalated to murder and burning a corpse. Such a psychological transformation in just 1 year didn't match the typical progression in criminal psychology. It seemed too abrupt, as if something was missing in between. Therefore, Captain Zhang boldly speculated that Zhang Deyue might have committed another crime during that year, one more violent than fraud, but less extreme than murder and corpse burning. So, could it possibly be that he was the one who killed Yang Yan?
Zhang Deyue, repeat what you said earlier. How did Ajie kill Yang Yan? One night, Ajie came to me. He said he had killed Yang Yan and forced me to help him bury the body. First, we dug it up from the quarry, then moved it to a cotton field far away. What year did this happen? 2006. Go on. Then we dug a pit about 1.2 meters deep. How can you be sure Ajie was the killer? Because Ajie is dead. You know Ajie is dead? No, Ajie isn't dead. I mean, I don't know. Tell the truth. Did Corji tell you about Ajie's death? This is Corji's statement. He said he told you about Ajie, and we have footage of your conversation during your time. Are you still denying it? It was me. I killed Yang Yan. That night, after she finished work, she took her wages and was about to go home.
It turns out that, in late November 2006, after the cotton picking season ended, Yang Yan received her wages and planned to return home. Zhang Deyue, who had been secretly eyeing Yang Yan, watched everything unfold. That night, using his status as Zhang Denian's younger brother, he offered to take her to the station. But as they passed through the cotton fields, Zhang Deyue suddenly started harassing her. When Yang Yan firmly rejected him, he felt humiliated. Enraged, he brutally killed her and buried her body right there. 4 months later, Zhang Deyue committed another crime, kidnapping, murder, and dismemberment, landing him in prison. While in custody, he overheard another inmate, Corji, mention Ajie's death. Seizing this opportunity, Zhang Deyue meticulously crafted a false confession, pinning Yang Yan's murder on Ajie in an attempt to gain favor with the police and secure a chance as a rival. On July 21, 2008, the day he was led to the execution ground, he made one last desperate attempt, executing the deception he had rehearsed countless times in his mind. But in the end, a lie is still a lie, and his story unraveled. In the end, Zhang Deyue did not escape the lost justice. His life of crime came to an end with a single bullet of righteousness. So, Zhang Deyue's lie made his crimes even worse, and he almost dragged his brother down with him? But seriously, I think Zhang is one of the most despicable criminals in all the cases I've covered. Look at him. Fraud, murder, burning a corpse, sexual harassment, rape, defamation. And he committed all these crimes at just 28 years old. Sometimes I really wonder if some people are simply born evil. Alright, that's all for this video. You've probably noticed that this episode was different from previous ones. I added some little dramas because I feel the pure narrative style was getting a bit boring. Sometimes by the end, I start losing focus myself. So, do you like this new format? Please leave me lots of comments and feedback. Your opinions are really important to me. That's it for now. Bye bye.